Hey, what is going on, guys? Today we're taking a look at the real grade full armor unicorn, and as you can tell, it's not quite fully armed yet. We're going to get through all of that because the main focus of this review is really going to be going over all of the full armor parts that are included with this, because the kit, as you're seeing it now, is not any different from the regular standard release a real grade unicorn kit, except for the fact that the psycho frame is in a different color. Otherwise, there's no other differences in terms of the parts. So I won't be going over the articulation or the transformation of the kit in this review. If you want to see more about that, you can check out my review of the original kit. I went over all of that stuff. In a nutshell, the articulation is very good, the kit is very solid, but it also is a little bit too solid in some places, so just make sure you're careful when you're moving it around, especially in the building process. When you're using those parts that are like on the pre-built frame runner, just make sure you bend those slowly, carefully, intentionally, and bend them back and forth a couple times just to loosen them up a little bit, and that will help you a lot, and that will make it so that you won't break anything. That will be good. So before we get into the giant massive accessories for this kit, which will take up the bulk of this review, I just gotta say, as always, a huge thank you to Gundam Store for sponsoring the review and making it possible. Check the link to their site down below, guys, if you're living in North America, and show them some love. Use that coupon code there and save 10% on everything there on their site. With that, let's get right into all of the accessories. Alright, so let's get through some of the easy stuff first before we get to all the weapons. So here's the giant decal sticker sheet. You can see I've only used really a few of them just for the sake of showing you how these look. Now, as I've said in many times before, these sticker decals usually don't look good, but on white plastic is when they're going to look their best. So considering most of this kit is white, a lot of the decals aren't going to look too bad, as where you can't really see like the outline of them. So if you did want to use these, this is one of those kits where you probably could use a lot of them if you aren't going to be painting it, and they're not going to look bad by any means. There's obviously a whole lot of them, so it will take you some time, but there's plenty on there to work with. We've got our two clear pink beam saber effect parts for the beam saber handle stored in the forearms and on the backpack. So again, we don't have a total of 4, which you could possibly use. We just have the 2. For hand options, this kit does not have the articulated hands that a lot of other RGs have. It just has fixed pose hands. Personally, I prefer that, but it's just depending on your personal taste. Here we have the closed fists. It does also include a set of open expressive hands like this, which are very nice. And then a set of weapon or trigger finger hands here, holding hands for the weapons. We've got an action-based connector, a tiny little 1/144 scale figure of Banagher Lynx in his normal clothes. This is the same figure that came with the original kit. As I said in the unboxing, I wish we would have got a new figure for this kit, maybe with Banagher in his pilot suit. That would have been cool, but this is our pilot figure with the kit. We have a few options for the V-fin. So in unicorn mode, we have this just fixed single piece unicorn mode V-fin. And then we have a 2-part transforming V-fin, which will open and close between the modes. And then we have just the fixed pose open V-fin for when it's in destroy mode. I prefer, again, just the fixed pose V-fin. You will have to use these stickers if you want them to have that gold, of course, or paint that. The main point is, I'm just glad that we have the option of having fixed pose V-fins instead of the transforming one. So the first of our weapons here is the Beam Magnum. Nothing different about this, it just has this ability to open and you can pull out the ammunition. You can store that on the back skirt if you want. You don't have an extra one to store on the back skirt like with the Master Grade, so you only have the one set. You have the secondary handle which folds out on the side. You do have a sticker for the camera, I just haven't put that on yet. You have this little tab out the back which you can flip out to store this onto his backpack if you want. And then you can see it does have the little bit there, so if you wanted to take your revolving launcher from your real grade Banshee and give it to this kit, you can do that by just plugging that on there. You can also plug this onto the side of the arm with this little tab here on the other side, on either the front or the back, but it can just be plugged on here like that for storage on the back of the or side of the arm. And then we have the shield, or more accurately, 3 of them. One of them has a little bit different decals for that. This is the one that goes on the back. Otherwise, the parts are exactly the same. We're going to use different connector pieces, obviously, for connecting it onto the arm or onto the backpack. Now, one thing that I should mention, if you want to plug this onto the arm without the beam Gatling guns in between the arm and the shield, you just want to put it on just like with the normal original kit. You do have that connector piece included in the box, but on the parts list, it's crossed off as an extra part. So if you want to be able to do that, just make sure you don't throw those parts away straight away. You got our grenade racks. Now there's basically 4 sets of these, one for each side of the legs, and then one for each of the bazookas that'll go on the backpack. So there's a hinge in between. These can be moved like that and separated, and they will also open up like this if you wanted to display them open. Now these will just plug in here into the side of the leg. Now it's important when you're building the kit, there's a little part that goes on the inside of there. Just make sure to omit that part. You can see it on the opposite side. On the inside it's there. It gives you a little bit of detail. So if you don't want to use these on the leg, then put that part in there, but if not, just make sure you leave that part out. But this will just plug in here to the side of the leg like that. And up next we have the Hyper Bazooka. Now this is a little bit different from the original kit in that this one has these ports here on the side for plugging on the extra grenade racks and missile pods here onto the side of that on either the left and the right side. Now if you didn't want to do that, you do have the original barrel from the original kit, which instead just has the secondary handle on the side of it, and so you can use that instead if you prefer. But it still works essentially the same. We have the extending barrel. Just make sure you pull it by the barrel. If you pull it by the front, you're probably just going to pull that part off the front of that every time. But the barrel will extend on that, and then we have another little tab here on the back. You can use that for connecting it onto the backpack, or we're also going to use that for connecting this onto the big backpack for the full armor parts. The ammo pack here on the back still falls off very easily. The Master Grade has the same problem, and like every single version of this kit seems to have the same problem. So this little bit slides back there, and that can slide closed if you want, but that slides open and just barely holds the ammunition in place. So it's a little bit annoying how that falls out all the time. This one also you can plug onto the back skirt if you want, but you don't have any extras to plug onto the back skirt, so you'd have to take it off of the bazooka here and put it on there. Now you do have 2 of these, but they are a little bit different because you'll use one for the left side, one for the right side. On this one, we have the giant missile pod here, which is just made up of just 3 parts, very simple. That just plugs on here. And then around on the other side is where you're going to plug your grenades. So it has a little bit different connection from on the legs, so just make sure you plug the right one on the right side, like that. And then we also have the grenade launcher. Now, I really got to say, I do like this grenade launcher for this kit. And one thing that I was realizing that I don't think I've ever seen someone build a unicorn kit and have it actually like using this grenade launcher in hand. Now, the Master Grade has it, but I just don't think I've ever really seen that. So I know on the high grade it's molded together with things, so you can't really do it. You'd have to cut it apart. With this little secondary, or the main handle, I guess it would be, here on the front will move back and forth. The ammunition clip is removable if you want to remove that. So it's really nicely detailed in this thing here, but what we'll do is just pull out the barrel, then you can slide this up into the underside of there. The ammo pack at the back fell out again. And so there you go. There is your full armor Hyper Bazooka, which we have 2 of. These will be going on the back. So again, the other one, you'll just plug the weapons onto the sides in the opposite manner. And then of course we have the double beam Gatling gun, but we've got 3 sets of these, and actually they're each individual guns. So we've got 6 beam Gatling guns. You can just separate those to make an individual gun if you want. Pretty nice on this that the handle will actually pull out. You can slide that back and then fold that there for the handle for this. Secondary handle is just this bit here on the side, which will fold out like that. You have the camera, which will rotate up, and those just kind of rotate around however you might need. So if you don't need the secondary handle, you'll just put it like that. And so this would be like your single beam Gatling gun. And just these are really nice. This is another thing you just don't really see often, a unicorn kit just using just the beam Gatling guns. It's a really cool weapon, but you just don't really see them used on their own very often. So up next we have probably the coolest weapon, of course, is the Hyper Beam Javelin. Now this is in its collapsed form like this, so this would be just the simplest way. It does transform a couple different ways. First thing, you just kind of remove the 3 main parts, which is the handle from the back, the top part, and the lower part. Connect that back together so they're forming a kind of straight line. Then you'll pull this out, fold that out, connect that back into there like that for that end, and on this end you'll just fold it out straight like that. So now it's getting pretty long, and then you actually have 3 options where you want to plug in the handle there, here, here, or here, depending on where you want the weapon to be. For the sake of it, I'm just going to plug it here into the center, and the white parts on either end do actually kind of transform as well. There's little bits of psycho frame in there, so what you'll do is you need to use the effect parts for that. The effect parts are very nice for these, really nice and sharp, nicely detailed. You plug that into there and then pull it out a little bit, and you can see you get a little bit of exposed psycho frame there, and it's the same thing for this side. Plug the effect part into there, looking very nice, and then pull that out, and that will again expose a little bit of psycho frame in there. So now that it's crazy long, coming in at about 28 centimeters in length, that's pretty ridiculous. So like with the Master Grade, you can actually store this on the arm, so it'd be between the beam Gatling gun and the shield, so it goes arm, beam Gatling gun, hyper beam javelin, then shield. It ends up being quite the little stack there, but you have this extra piece here which you need to include for doing that. So plug that between there like so. Then you'll plug one of your shields here onto the outside like that. And then for plugging the beam Gatling guns onto the arms, you also have this extra little piece which you'll use for those. So you've got a couple of these pieces included. And then plug this piece onto there, and there is your super hyper weapon stack, which will then attach onto the arm. But wait, we're not done yet. You can have the beam effects deployed while it's attached onto the arm as well. So what you'll do is just fold these parts out. And again, you're using this little spike bit there in the center to kind of connect the top and bottom part together there like that. Once again, connect our beam effect parts onto there, and voila, that is a pretty awesome weapons thing to be attaching onto his arm. So you have this connector piece which will allow you to do that. You'll just plug that onto there like that, and then this will just slide down there onto that, and there we go. Let's give it a weight test by putting the arm up here. There is no way in hell the Master Grade will be able to do this, but this kit, it's solid as a rock, even with all that extra bulk of weapons attached onto the arm there. That shoulder is just super solid, and the elbow as well. This kit, in general, just the frame, the main body of the kit is so solid. Even with all that added onto there, you're not going to have any problem holding that up at all. So now, before we get into the last bit of accessories and transform this guy and take a look at it in its full armor mode, I just want to take a few minutes here just to appreciate all of the different weapon options and things that you can do with this, because I think most people are going to typically just arm it up completely, just do the full armor thing, but there really is so many hundreds, if not thousands, of different weapon combinations that I think you could do with this kit, with the bazookas and the grenades and the beam Gatling guns. You could separate the beam Gatling guns, or have them on the both arms, or have the hyper beam javelin, or just the shields on the arms, or the shields on the back, or have the bazooka on the back. There's so many different things that you can do with this kit. Plus the fact that it transforms, you have even before you get to weapons, you have the options right from the start, whether you want to have it in unicorn mode or destroy mode. So the sheer amount of the different options that you can do with this kit is pretty staggering, and that is pretty awesome. If that's the kind of thing that you appreciate, if you want to get your money's worth out of a kit, you want to be able to do a lot of stuff with it, there's no question that 5,400 yen price tag for this by all means is justified just by the fact of all the different stuff that you can do with this. The one weak point that I have noticed among the accessories is the grenade racks. The grenade racks do feel a little bit fragile. The connection piece between them just doesn't seem to be all that tight, and so they do kind of tend to crumble a little bit here and there when I was trying to move stuff around. So be a little bit careful with the grenade racks. Otherwise, everything else super solid, and just the only thing that I could say is missing from this kit would be a second hyper beam javelin, like the Master Grade does come with two. It really would have been cool if you really wanted to go like completely all out and have two of those for this kit. That would have been nice, but I mean, just the one is not bad. The original high grade, again, did not come with a beam javelin at all, so it's definitely points over that version of the kit. The other great thing is if you already have the original real grade unicorn kit and you get this version as well, and you don't want to go completely full armor with all the weapons, you can split up the weapons a little bit between them. If you want to add a little bit more armament to your original real grade unicorn, like maybe take one set of the beam Gatling guns and give it to the unicorn there, as it did appear in the anime at first when it first used the beam Gatling guns. You could do that, or in any other sort of combination, split up the weapons between the two kits. I think would be really cool, and that's something that I might consider doing for mine actually. Alright, now I'm going to get the rest of the kit transformed here in a moment, but first let's just take a look at the backpack and how we're going to mount all this stuff onto the backpack, and also take a look at the fuel tanks here in a moment. So first, we have the two main parts which will plug onto the front and back of here. Now from here you have an option. Onto the center of the backpack is where you're going to plug the one set of double beam Gatling guns and a shield. Now you can choose to plug that directly onto here with this piece like that. Then the manual also gives you the option to use this extra piece, and this would be for if you don't have the fuel tanks on the backpack. You can use this piece, which basically, as far as I can tell, the only difference is that then this sets this a little bit lower. So you'd have this attached onto like a little bit farther back and a little bit farther down in the backpack. Otherwise, I can't really tell what the main difference is with that. And the only thing I can glean from the manual is that that's for if you aren't having the fuel tanks attached onto the back. So I don't know. We're going to use the fuel tanks, so we're just going to use this plug directly onto there. So you're going to pop the beam Gatling guns onto there, and then pop the shield on over the top of that. And then before we get them attached, here are the fuel tanks. They're very nice little separate red bits for inside the thruster belts there on the back. The seam line here down the center is disguised as a panel line. And overall, very nice. Now, the way that these plug onto a stand, if you're going to have this not on an action base and just have it just standing on the ground, you have this little bits. So that just plugs into there. And so that is on a ball joint there, and then this little bit at the bottom is also on a ball joint. So these are actually really nice. They're a lot more articulated as just little stands there, and more highly detailed than the master grade or high grade version. I guess the master grade version is a little bit kind of sort of complex, but doesn't have the sort of detailed and articulated look to it. So that's pretty nice. Now, one thing that I also noticed, there's also a little connection point on there for plugging that just onto just like a standard action-based connector peg, it looks like. But back to the backpack, we have these connector parts for plugging on the bazooka and the fuel tanks, which I forgot to put on, so I need to pull the beam Gatling guns off for a moment and put these connectors on here. There we go, like that, and I can plug this bit back onto the center there. And then you'll use the tab on the top of the bazooka to plug into here, and that is going to be fitting in like so. Now our backpack is definitely looking pretty intense here, but it's still feeling pretty solid. Nothing's falling off or anything, and it looks great. Finally, we can just plug in the fuel tanks on the left and the right like so. Alright, and so transformed into destroy mode with the backpack attached onto here. Here is how it's going to look. Pretty awesome. But one thing that I have noticed is that if you have it leaned back at all, the fuel tanks will actually fall out of the backpacks. So if you really want to keep those attached in there, I would maybe recommend gluing the fuel tank connectors into the backpack whole contraption there, just to make sure that those are solid and they won't just fall out of the back. So as it is, how I got it kind of like straight vertically like this, it won't be a problem. But before I had it in a pose where it was kind of like leaning back a little bit, and the fuel tank would just slide right out of the backpack there. So be careful about that. But otherwise, I mean, obviously the kit is going to have extreme weight issues, but the included stands should make it perfectly fine when it's standing up in just a standing pose. Having it up on an action base, though, you will of course have to balance that. But just as we know, the articulation of this kit is fantastic, and with all those different weapon options, getting an action base is highly recommended for this kit, because that is one of the best features about this version, is that it does have that super solid, really nice articulation. And so basically, to wrap the review, I mean, just take a look at how awesome this kit is. It's so nice to finally have a version of the full armor unicorn that can actually do stuff. The master grade looked great, but you couldn't really do too much with it. It was too heavy. It was just basically a brick. The perfect grade, obviously going to be pretty much a brick as well. The high grade is not bad, but the high grade doesn't transform. So this one also has the added version of being able to transform. And also, of course, with it being a real grade, it's much more highly detailed and it's much more stable, and also has the inclusion of the hyper beam Javelin, which again, different depending on which version of the high grade we're talking about, it's included or not included. But just for the whole package, if you just wanted like a single ultimate Gundam Unicorn kit to get, I think this has to be it. If you really wanted a red version of it, I'm sure that's probably going to be coming out or being made available at some point down the line. But as it is now, I mean, just with all the different weapon options, awesome transformation that works really nice, the fantastic articulation, the stability, the overall looks and details of this kit, and all the weapons being just really nice on there. Very little to complain about with this kit. It's absolutely fantastic. To be honest, I was a little bit on the fence at first if I really wanted to take the time to review it or not, considering it's just the same real grade unicorn that we saw before with the addition of the new parts added onto there. But really, I'm really glad that I took the time to build up this kit and just review it here for you guys, because I really enjoyed working with this kit. It's a pain in some ways that any unicorn kit is going to be a pain, any transforming unicorn kit. Whenever you're trying to pose the kit, just through the fact of touching it and moving stuff around, you're always messing with the transformation. You have to fix the little transformed bits that you mess up just by touching the kit and moving stuff around. It's annoying, and all the different weapons, especially with the full armor version, just all the weapons everywhere. When you're trying to get it into a pose, anywhere you touch it, you're messing up something else somewhere else, so it's a little bit annoying. It takes a little while to get it up into an awesome pose, but with this kit, you're able to get the kit into pretty much any pose that you could possibly want. And so that is pretty fantastic. And again, in this review, I've really only been able to show you a small handful of options that you can do with it, but there's so much more that you can do with the kit. If you guys do have any other further questions or comments, of course, feel free to leave those down below if there's anything that I missed. There very well could be, because there's just so much that you can do with this. So let me know down there in the comments section. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to USA Gundam Store again for sponsoring the review, guys. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey! Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store. Use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10. Save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.